this thing on? I think it is. All right. Hey, everybody. My name is Derek, and I am the owner, creator, and head silicone slinger here at Amavidi, where we make silicone toys for adults. All right. Hey, everybody. We have new patrons, and I have them on the screen right now. Amber M, Henry O, Scott A, Gregor B, Warm Inside, Bill A, Isabel B, Johnny Boy, Snickerdoodle. It is a growing list. It is a short but illustrious list, and it's growing. And I appreciate every single one of you, and I hope to see more names on this list. And if you want to, you can support us. Patreon.com/Amavidi. I did it. I did it right. I didn't screw that up. Patreon.com/Amavidi. And you can jump over there and support us in whatever way you like. But these folks have been kind enough to support us, and we do appreciate it. Moving on, let's see. Tonight we have Allison from Something Squishy Toys, and this is going to be a fun one. She is probably one of the most random and goofy people I have met in a very long time, and I'm going to enjoy this one a lot, and I hope you do too. Coming up next weekend, I'm still working next weekend out. I have two paths I can go, and I'm not quite sure which one I'm going to go with yet. So we'll talk about that in the next couple of days. But on the following Sunday, I think it's November 6th, we have Simply Elegant Glass. So a little bit different category, but still adult toys, but they're glass. And I'm really interested. I got a chance to talk to them a little bit this week, and I'm really interested to have that conversation. I think that'll be a fun one too. So that's coming up. Anything else that I need to cover? I don't know. I think I got everything in there. But if there's anything coming up, I will let you know. Now, with that, let's see if we can find Allison. Allison, where are you? Are you there?
Hello,
oh my God.
People of the YouTube.
Oh my God, what the hell happened to you? What is that on your face?
I don't know, I just like making I want to take this off.
Yes, please! You're scaring the cats.
Ouch, that thing was a little tight. I made it like 4 years ago.
Well then, that's when I'm going to make an entrance.
Sorry, yeah, I used to wear that in to teach when I was teaching on Halloween, but now I don't teach, so I need to get my kids traumatizing other people.
And as you can hear, George is in the background cackling.
Cool.
George will be wrangling the questions. And if you do have them, drop the questions in the chat and she will get them to me. She is a big fan of the mask, I see. So, yeah. But, yeah, drop your questions in the chat. George will get them to me. So, Allison, thank you. I appreciate you making the time and joining me this evening.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. We have been chatting for the last couple weeks, and it has been a blast to get to know you. I've been following your stuff for the last couple of years, and it's been kind of like these parallel worlds that I've just kind of looking from a distance, and then the last couple of weeks we've had a chance to kind of get to know each other, and it has been a blast.
Cool.
Now, I don't usually do this. Well, no, I don't have it open. I can't get to it. So I was going to read your bio, because that was just a whole bunch of fun. But there were words in there like chaotic and random, and you exemplify every single bit of that. And I think your work does too. So I guess the question I'm going to start with is why well, this is probably the second question I should ask is, but why did you get into this world? What was it? Why did you get into adult toy making?
I genuinely have no idea. No, I like that's like a really boring answer, but it's like a legit answer. I had the idea, so words. I opened my shop like 2 years ago, but for some reason, like I feel like 5 years before that, I like had the idea floating in my head, but I don't know why, because it's gonna sound really weird, but not particularly interested in toys. So like to me, it just seemed like a fun craft that I kind of kept like coming back to, but like didn't know how I could make them safely. And then I kind of found a resource and I was like, oh, here's a list of materials. And then I was like, but I don't really have money to drop on this right now. And then in early 2020, I was like, I have some money. Let's make dildos. So I did, and here we are.
So there was no reason.
Yeah, no, I don't know why. I like doing random crafty things, and it seemed like a potentially marketable random crafty thing, ? I don't really know why. It just seemed kind of fun. Yeah.
So, but has this turned into a full-time job for you?
Yeah, so for a while I was doing like adjunct teaching of animation. I majored in animation in college and was teaching at my college, while also doing dildos and also trying to do some freelance work. And now as of earlier this year, at some point, I stopped teaching, and now I'm pretty much just doing this and the odd, like, weird freelance job if it seems fun.
Interesting. Now, you said you're teaching animation. Is that 2D or 3D?
3D animation, I cannot 2D for beans. Yeah. Okay. I have, in case anyone's interested, I have some terrible sketches in my sketchbook of dildos, and they're very bad, and I thought people might want to laugh at them.
So I assume that those skills came useful when you came into the dildo world?
Yeah, it was kind of also like a weird string. I was like, okay, I know how to 3D model and like do animation. I hate animation. Oh my god, it's awful. I know how to do the 3D things from college. And then I was like, I'm gonna get a 3D printer. And then I was like, well, I have the 3D printer, and now I can make masters and resize them, because I'm also not fantastic at hand sculpting. I did all of my original designs, most of which printed in multiple pieces on an original Anycubic Photon. I think the extra large cactus was like 13 pieces. It was horrible. Anyway, so it can be done. You don't need giant printers. But at some point I was just sort of like, well, I have enough stuff. Like, let me just, dump some money on silicone. Meh.
Okay. Well, it almost sounds like, you kind of took these weird skills that you had and just kind of puked out this craft and then turned it into a business. And now you're feeding your cats with
accurate.
It.
Absolutely accurate. Yeah. I cannot think of a better way to describe that.
Okay. I did see that Shop Dad is demanding to see these awful, awful sketches.
Oh boy. I can, I'll just like flash them up. I earmarked some of them because they're particularly bad. So I'll just like flash these up the best I can while we chat.
Okay. Yes.
They're in a literal sketchbook. So, wait. Oh boy.
Remember, left is right, right is left.
Yeah.
See,
and
those aren't bad.
Up. But this is the extent that I can do, and these are some of like the better sketches I've done. I've sent some really bad drawings to clients. Like, it's kind of funny, but also a little weird. But like, yeah. It's I don't people like a bunch of the other makers will be like putting out these awesome 2D arts of like characters and stuff like that, and I'm like, oh hell no. Like, nobody wants that from me. Unless you want like a blob monster. Terrible.
Now, one of the things that was in your bio that I thought was interesting is you described yourself as an eccentric, asexual ball of chaos. And now we've already seen the chaos part, and I think we're kind of getting a sense of the eccentric part. But the asexual part is kind of interesting when we start talking about the fact that we're making adult toys. And how do we kind of not justify? How do we kind of reconcile the asexuality with the fact that we're making adult toys?
Yeah, so okay. I think first it probably makes sense to just sort of like define my version of asexual, because that feels maybe contextually relevant. For anyone not familiar, asexuality is just like a lack of sexual attraction in general. It has nothing to do with libido or like any actual actions you take. So my flavor of that is basically just like I could kind of take or leave sex. And it's not really a thing that I'm particularly interested in. And I had some lady once, like just some random person when I was first starting out. I think I like posted some pictures of like what I was doing, and she's like of some actual pores, and she was like, "How are you going to like make this business work if you're not interested in using any of this stuff? Like blah blah blah, you're not gonna know what anybody wants." And I'm like, okay, so first of all, I don't know why you're so concerned about me throwing away my own money. Like, that seems like you're getting way too invested in that. But also, everyone has different preferences. So I might be making something that works for me and that wouldn't work for you, and vice versa. So, like, as long as you're making things safely, and in a way that they, you know, I guess won't also, like, harm people from the design or whatever, meh. And you don't need to be like using things to be like, cool, I'm, you know, using a vacuum chamber and like making sure this isn't full of like weird holes and chunks missing out of it or whatever. Like, I don't know. It was really random. I honestly, so like, I don't know what, because this is possibly TMI, I don't know. I've tried a few of the things that I've made and I'm like, meh, hardcore meh. So like, I don't know what the heck people want. I just make random stuff, and I assume that if I have enough random things, somebody somewhere will want some of them. And so far it seems to be working okay.
It's I guess
super solid business strategy.
Yeah. I'm really trying to figure out what the future there is.
I don't know.
Oh, jeez. But she was all up in your business, trying to figure out, you know, how you were going to make this work.
Yeah.
And you're right. I mean, the bottom line is that as long as it's, you know, physically safe in terms of materials, you know, platinum pure silicone, vacuumed, you know, the pigments are all safe, all that. Who cares? You can do whatever you want to with your money. But you seem to be making a good go of it. So, I mean, I guess you proved her wrong.
Yeah.
But now you've told her. Does your family know what you do?
Yes and no. So I'm over enthusiastic, and I told my parents almost immediately, and they were just kind of like, what? I don't think my mom was super in love with the idea. Just because of, you know, like her, you know, beliefs and such. I think my dad was just like, oh dear God, why? So they know. Apparently my uncle and aunt know, which is weird because I've never explicitly told them in 2 years, but then like we just started talking about it the other day and they're like, oh, are you making dildos? And I was like, oh, who told you? I was like, what? But pretty much like the rest of my whole one side of the family, unless someone's told them and they just haven't brought it up to me, like they don't know. But yeah.
But generally they've been supportive.
But I'm also really stubborn, and there's kind of no point in them trying to make me not do the things. So, character flaws? Question mark.
Okay. And Well, I think we've kind of established, I think people have gotten to figure out a little bit about who you are. They've gotten to see your personality a little bit here.
For better or worse.
For better or for worse, yeah. Tell me a little bit about the theme of your shop. I mean, we've established that there's some randomness there, but you've also got a little bit of a theme going on.
Yeah, so I seem to have two recurring themes that I fall back on. One of which should not be fallen back on because it doesn't sell, which is was originally actually supposed to be the entire bit of my shop. It was just gonna be making this is a painted version of the boss, and it is Dragon Skin 10, one of my first things that I ever did. And this was originally my whole shop was literally gonna be mostly just weird face themed things. And it was gonna be bad stocking stuffer gifts, basically. You just get these for people to weird them out. It turns out nobody likes those. Which, to be fair, I can understand because they're horrible.
I'm just gonna sit back here and judge you for a moment.
Oh, please do. It's hilarious. I posted a thing on Twitter and I was genuine question, feel free to be honest, I won't get offended. I don't sell a lot of these. Is it because I don't make that many and I have ugly pores right now? Or is it because these designs are horrible and you just will never buy them? And most people were I will never buy that. Dear God. So I thought that was funny, but I'm cool, now I'm gonna stop making these. Mm-hmm. They are still up for customs on my website if you want to get your friends some creepy face butt plugs for Christmas. I don't know. So apart from the sort of retconned creepy faces, most of what well, not most, but a lot of my stuff that I make is food themed. So I have these pear squishy eggs. This is one that I just have in my personal selection because it was a flop. At one point, here's a failed raspberry that I tried to make as a squishy. It did not fill all the way. The mold was a nightmare, and I just never revisited that, but I probably should because it's fun to squish. I have ice creams. Oh yes, and I have floppy bananas because why would you not want a dildo with floppy peels on it? I don't know. I wanted to make a banana because I'm just obsessed with bananas, and I was everyone's done that. How do I make it different? And I'm floppy peels! So now my basement's full of floppy bananas, and it's a nightmare.
No, before we go too far, rumor has it the floppy banana has its own Twitter account.
Oh, yes it does. The handle, in case anybody wants to look at that, is floppy banana 69. Just floppy banana was taken, and I was well, I need to think of a number, so. It's, the banana is very sarcastic and very angry, and I don't really know why. He has a pretty good life. It likes to talk about world domination a lot, which is a little uncomfortable, but, it's fine.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna leave that one there. Sorry.
I broke it.
You broke George.
Huzzah.
Oh, okay. So we've got the fruit. We've got the face plugs, the face butt plugs. But now recently you've got some. Are they opal? Are they opal style?
Yeah. So I made these in February. Hang on. Oh boy. So this is a flopped one that just lives on my desk as decoration. It is a little covered in cat hair because I don't clean my flops well if I'm not planning on selling them, so I apologize, but this also looks really bad in this lighting. But this is basically just what type of inclusion that I was doing to see if I could replicate opals. And I've been trying to mess with some other variations on that, but yeah, those and a bunch of Halloween inclusions are also up in my shop right now. But yeah.
Interesting. And I'm fascinated by inclusions. Shopped Out is fanboying in the chat, says your opals are amazing, which is high praise. Yeah. So,
but they're weird. I went through a solid gallon unit of silicone trying to make them in a way that wasn't super sketchy. Worth it, but also, dear God, that was a lot of silicone, and now I have a large box of opal shame.
Now, did you bring your box of shame?
Yes, I did. Let's see if there's physically space for it on my desk.
Okay.
Because it's not small. It is not a small box. I have much silicone shame.
You have much shame to share?
Yes, I have. Here's my box of shame. It is just a smooth on box. Oh boy, that doesn't fit well on my desk. Hang on. I didn't plan this out super well, but like, here's just a whole box of random screwed up dildos.
Yeah.
It weighs like 30 pounds and is physically just like hard to manage. I'd be down to cut one of these apart on camera, but here's like a monster design. This is one of the first. This is actually the first design that I ever made because I like didn't understand dildos and like I was like, well, let me just make it straight and like put a little knot in. Like that seems like a good starting place. Like I don't know. That was me being like, I don't understand the fantasy toy market at all. And I sculpted that in polymer clay. Actually destroyed the mold and the master making the mold, and then I was like, oh, well, that sucked. And then I remade it digitally, and it turns out that it sucks really bad to demold. And I've just been like, let me just ignore this design a little bit because I really hate demolding. That was a tangent, but yes, I have a flop box.
Okay. Hang on a second. I want to make sure. Catch up here. I'm going through and making sure that I haven't missed anything.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay. All right. Yes, I would love to, at some point tonight, cut open one of your flops. Because that's something that has come up a couple of times in conversation on the stream. And, I mean, I've done it in my studio before just because, you know, you've got to see it. You've got to cut it open at some point and see what's happening on the inside. And I think that people would love to see that. I always forget to bring mine home because I'm an idiot. But, yeah.
I mean, hey, one of the benefits of working from home is your basement's just full of dildos, which is going to look real sketchy whenever we end up trying to, like, move and people are coming through. We're just going to be like, hey, don't let your kids in the basement. But, yeah.
Well, do you have any projects coming up?
I have all the projects coming up to the point where I don't know what I have coming up. That's where I am in life right now. No, I have, I'm finally almost done repolishing my Dice Masters. This is not a polished one, but those will be available. I need to pour all the Halloween inclusions, get that drop done. I'm planning on making some other probably like weird assorted tool stuff. Oh, that's another weird theme in my shop. I feel the need to expand my line of dildo tools.
Wait, now, hang on. Dildos in the shape of tools? Tools for making dildos? Or tools used as dildos?
The first two.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I have my desk is covered in fun display dildos. So I have like a nut and bolt. I don't have the nut, but I just wanted to see if the way I was teaching my students to make threading actually worked in the real world. And then I was like, you know, I may as well put the bottom on this instead of leaving it as a cylinder. And if I'm printing it anyway, it may as well be a dildo. But I also have a hammer, which was actually done by a commission. That was not my idea. And I think I have something else. I don't remember. It's been 2 years and I have over 50 models, so I kind of don't remember what I have at this point. which is like kind of bizarre, but whatever.
Yeah. But now you kind of glossed over this. You do dice as well.
Yeah, that was one of those, oh, well, I guess I have the silicone from the dildos, so maybe I'll just grab some resin in a pressure pot. I expand exponentially and it's a problem. But yeah, I used to make resin dice, and then it just like the workspace was not super set up great for that, and meh. But I like doing the silicone dice because you don't need a bunch of weird pressure pots and like weird masks and stuff to do that. So I'm gonna get back into doing thems.
Yeah. Tibbs in the chat from Fantasy Grove, who is wonderful people, screaming out the pencil.
Oh yes, the pencil! I just poured one of them. I have to demold those.
Yeah. And
yeah, the pencil's great.
Now, you and I have been talking about the odd body for the last couple days, and for different reasons. But Tibbs is also, what elder gods did you need to sacrifice to create the wondrous cursed horror that is odd body? And now, I'm not sure exactly what the question is there. Because you and I have been talking about it because of IT reasons. There are technical things that are happening in the background, and you and I have been talking about it for that reason. The horror of the odd body problems, and then there's the product itself. So nobody's going to care about the IT problems, so we can skip over that part. But talk about the odd body.
I wanted to see one. I think odd body, like the genre of odd bodies as art, are horrible, and I love them.
What is the odd body? What is it? Tell me.
You honestly, you should probably just Google odd body. It's basically, or no, it's long. I think long body. But there's like a genre of Furbies called odd bodies. If I might be destroying this description, but a subset of that is like long bodies, where people just make really long Furbies, and people also give them like creepy legs and stuff, and like they're awful and glorious and amazing. And I was like, what if you had one of them that could be inserted? Okay. I don't know why. Also, I just wanted, one, I thought it would be funny, and two, I was like, maybe this is a weird face that people will buy. So yes, it worked. My plan worked. Okay. I also just wanted to see, I think that was also me practicing like wanting to make a mold. So that whole mold is like a full cut mold. It's like a 2-piece mold. There's a seam going around the whole thing, and that was kind of like, I think I've gotten to a point where in my mold making I can do this where the seam is going to be really minimal, and for the most part that usually is the case. But that allows me to like open the full thing up and just paint the entire inside of it, which I've now done on like a few other designs, including the fender bender. I love the fender bender. But yeah, so I think that was also, I think this would be funny, but also there's things with this that I want to practice doing to see if I can do them.
Okay. Gotcha. Now, there was another product or project that you and I were talking about. What about the foot?
Oh, yes.
The foot.
Yes, if you ever see me posting a random video, come join me at some random time for a live stream of me doing life casting. It's not what you think. It's gonna be just me casting my foot. So you heard it here first. If people set me on fire, you can be like, no, she planned this. I swear it's not crazy. But yeah, at some point, I think it would be funny to just like cast my own foot and sell it in my shop. There will be many disclaimers saying that it was cast from my own foot. If any of you have been on my website for 30 seconds, you know I really like forcible disclaimer tick boxes. Like, I thrive on them, and it's a little weird. But yeah, so that was pretty much the entirety of that plan. I might cast a little bone that I can stick in the top because I think that would be funny. But yeah, I feel like that's gonna, I feel like it's going to be funny, and I think there's probably going to be a market for them, but I also think it's going to open me up to just a lot of weird sketch messages from people. So, looking forward to that. It's going to be great.
That could get a little creepy.
A little bit. I've already gotten some, like, at least mildly creepy messages, and I'm just like, why, people? Like, why are you doing this?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm curious. What about collaborations? Have you done any work or any collaborations with anybody?
So a while ago I commissioned, and I brought samples. I commissioned Scribble over at Monster Smash to make these delightful stickers for me. And those have been really cute. So these are just like hanging out in my shop if anyone wants to check these out. But that was really nice. Other than that, I pretty much make all my own designs and stuff. I recently did hang out with the lovely folks over at Fantasy Grove. And I did some pours in their molds. And I tossed them some of my like old retired molds. So we hung out and we played a little bit. But other than that, I mean, I pretty much just do all the stuff myself out of some misplaced principle because I'm weird.
It's a misplaced principle. Is that well, this is a topic that's kind of come up before. Is that perfectionism?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't. That's not a thing. It was funny because I was watching, and I've watched like some of your other live streams, and I watched the one of with Fergus from Monster Smash last week, and he was like, like perfection is the enemy of done. Like at some point you just have to call it quits. And it was like, I was kind of sitting there cackling the whole time because that is like not a problem that I have. Like my own personal standards are way lower than the standards I set for my shop. So I have to force myself to be like, no, you're going to be making dozens of castings off of this and like hundreds of dollars of materials, like sand your damn masters. Like, that is not something that I've ever really struggled with. And I think honestly, it's just because I get bored kind of easily. So I like doing things, and then I just sort of get bored doing things and have to force myself to finish sometimes.
So it's more control. You feel like you need to retain control of it?
Are you talking about like collaborations or just like the
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about, collaborations and we're kind of like making a transition to perfectionism, but it's not perfectionism. So is it, having to maintain control? You can't let go of it?
No, I think part of it is I genuinely like doing the design stuff. And that is like the fastest part of all of it. So I like doing that myself. Also, and this is gonna sound really janky, but like I can, and I'm cheap. There's been like a few times where I've been kind of tempted to buy models. Like I saw, I think it was Venus put out like a mushroom model. It's the one that Fantasy Grove ended up buying. But I was like, oh my god, mushrooms. I don't know why my shop mascot is a mushroom, by the way. I just it's one of the only things I can draw. So I was like, yay, mushrooms. And thus the story of my mascot was born. But yeah, it's not really a control thing. It's just, I just sort of like doing things and I'm cheap. And also like, sometimes I set weird rules for myself, like quote unquote rules. And I'm like, I must follow these. So like, I'm 28, I've never had alcohol, and there's no reason for that. It's just because I think it's funny. I think the reaction of people when I'm like, I have never had alcohol, is very funny. And that to me is worth more than actually trying it. And I feel like doing the design of like the models is kind of the same thing. But yeah.
So it's stubbornness.
Oh, absolutely. I'm a crazy stubborn person. It's ridiculous.
Okay. Yeah. I was trying to get to what it was. It was like, okay, we'll get there eventually.
Yeah, yeah. I also keep forgetting stubborn is like an actual word, because that is definitely a more succinct way to say whatever I was just saying.
Okay. There was a demand for you to tell us about your basement.
Yes, the basement. What do you want to know about the basement?
Well, I know a couple
lot I
things
could
because
say.
I know that's
Okay.
where you do your castings, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So what else you got going on down there?
Um, so basically, there's like, I guess there's like four major pieces of the basement. Like one is the laundry area, which before my dildos go to like be washed in the sink, they live on top of the laundry machine, which let me tell you, if you see a squid on a washing machine and it's on a spin cycle, you gotta take a slow-mo video. I've taken slow-mo videos and I haven't posted them because all of our lights are LEDs and it strobes, and I don't want to give people strokes. But like, if you have a squid, put it on a washer, put it on spin cycle, and do a slow-mo because you will get this glorious where all the tentacles are just like wiggling back and forth, and it is absolutely hilarious. So laundry, general storage. I've taken over, I'm gonna say a solid 60% of the basement. Bless my roommates for letting me do that. Letting me. That's my silicone stuff. And then in the back, there's like another like separate little room that I call the fish hole, which is just like where I have a bunch of fish tanks with cherry shrimp in them. And that is the basement. It is a very weird spot.
Okay, now cherry shrimp. Are
Yes.
these to eat or
My granny is, every time I send her pictures of my shrimp, she's like, "Can you eat those?" And I'm like, "No, they're like a quarter-inch big, and it would be like $4. They're like $4 per shrimp. Like, calm down, don't eat these. It's like probably more expensive than caviar." No, they're just like ornamental, cute shrimp. And they come in many colors. So I have two types of blue, red, orange, yellow. I think I'm missing one, but anyway. But yes, I collect cherry shrimp colors.
okay, I was gonna say it's kind of hard to call shrimp pets.
I
but-
mean, I had I still have a reef tank. I used to have some shrimp in that, and those are like actual kind of like pseudo legit pets. Like if you dunk your hand in, some of the shrimp will just hop over and they'll be like, meh, and start like trying to like pick little bits off of you, which feels really weird.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
yeah. Okay, so we have the shrimp world. We have the dildo world and the wavy
Actual basement area.
yeah, the wavy squid world. Okay. So I hope that satisfies whoever was asking about the basement world. Oh, all right. Let's talk about current events.
Yes.
Was it? I guess it was within the last couple weeks. Etsy bumping all the folks off of, pulling all the listings off of Etsy.
Yes.
Do you have any feelings or thoughts about Etsy?
I have no feelings whatsoever on Etsy. I've never heard of it as a platform. But you know, yeah, no, Etsy sucks. Sorry.
You had me going there for a second, just for a second.
Yeah.
No.
And we've had this conversation before. Anyway, but yeah, I have very mixed feelings on Etsy. I have two Etsy shops. I've been on Etsy since like 2011. Like I started my shop when I was in like high school. I think Etsy used to be really good before it went public and they started doing some like kind of sketch stuff. Now it's just a little bit janky, I think, where I think it definitely provides value. Like, I can't argue with that. I still have an Etsy. Don't buy things from my Etsy. Use my website. It's cheaper. Also, there's more options, and Etsy sucks. Sorry, I'm being very not diplomatic towards Etsy right now. But it's good for like quote unquote free views. You reach a different audience. It's like, you know, if you don't find me on Twitter, you can just randomly find me on Etsy, and that's really awesome. I I don't necessarily mind paying for a service that I'm using, and like Etsy is bringing value. I don't mind paying the fees. I think where my problem comes in is Etsy makes some real weird decisions involving sellers, and sometimes buyers, but I talk to the sellers more frequently, and I am one, so I'm biased.
Yeah.
But like they just keep introducing weird stuff like the Star Seller program, which like the sellers understand, but like the requirements are a little bit crazy. Like basically my one shop, at one point, I used to send some stuff untracked in like just envelopes to keep costs down for people, but then you could never qualify for Star Seller because like you have to have tracking, or if you have like it's really hard to meet their review thing if you're like to maintain like a 4.8 average or whatever. If you are a small shop and you don't get a lot of reviews, like 1 4-star will pretty much tank you for a while. And then I've seen stuff like on Reddit where customers will be asking like, oh, I want to buy this thing from a shop, but they're not a Star Seller. Like, should I avoid them? So I think it's weird in that sense because like the customers sometimes like don't understand like what Star Seller means. So to me, it just feels a little bit arbitrary in terms of the guidelines. And I just got a fun email from Etsy the other day being like, hey, we've introduced some new features. By the way, if you're a Star Seller, you get access to chat support. And I'm like, oh, you mean I can actually, you know, talk to a person on this service that I'm paying for regardless? Fantastic. Wow, I don't know why nobody's ever thought of that.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I don't know. I could go on for a while about my salt with Etsy. Also, of course, like the bit that you mentioned of they can just randomly remove your listings, and without the magic of chat support, it can be very hard to figure out why. And if that's your only means of income, that can like really mess you up, which, you know, is not something that I'm in love with conceptually, of just a random third party probably using bots to just like basically cut off your entire income stream. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I've had, when I first started Amavidi on Etsy, there was a point where my listings were not removed and I wasn't banned, and everything looked perfectly fine from my end.
Ew.
But you could not find any of my stuff on Etsy. You could search by product name and nothing would show up. And I had gotten I can't remember what it was, not delisted. Basically somehow my shop had gotten dropped out of the database.
Oh, that's sketch.
Yeah. And
like,
so
I've heard of that happening, yeah.
So I had to talk to chat, whatever, support, and get it added back into the database. And I've had a couple of things happen. It's been pretty smooth sailing. I mean, yeah, Etsy does bring value. I had, within the last month, I had a package go missing. And, you know, this is a $100 order. And I shipped it as I was supposed to, on time, tracking, everything. It was covered under the Etsy seller program, or Etsy seller protection program. So Etsy covered it for me. Nothing out of my pocket. Customer was made whole. So, you know, that's okay. But, you know, I know a bunch of people within the last couple of weeks have had a whole bunch of listings taken down. So. Yeah,
I should also add that I was not affected by that. I have had overall, personally, a very good experience with Etsy. I'm just a little ball of rage. Like, I don't know. Like,
I also get defensive of my people.
What do you mean? Oh, yeah. Like, of the other shops getting stuff taken down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, it's just, like, really weird.
And arbitrary rules getting enforced arbitrarily.
Yeah, and then also, like, the not being able to contact people about it. Like, I think that's also not good.
Yeah. Yep. And now everybody's kind of been jumping to Shopify. I'm not a big fan. But any experience with Shopify?
None whatsoever. I've tried pretty much every other platform at some point in the last, like, 10 years? Oh god, I'm old. I'm like not, but it's weird to think like in terms of decades when I've been like, oh, I've been adulting for a decade. Anyway, but yes, I have no real thoughts on Shopify. I currently use WooCommerce, which works pretty great for me 90% of the time, unless I'm trying to do drops. Y'all have been there. You know what's up. My website catches fire. But yeah, I keep being like, maybe I'll switch to Shopify to, like, you know, make drops work, because that would be nice. I think for now I'm just gonna kind of stick with the like alternate, just smaller batches of stuff at a schedule. But yeah, I've looked into it. I might sit down with the trial one day, but like I gotta come in with a list of stuff to break, because when I set up a website, I push it to the max and then it breaks, and then I'm like, oops.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. I will remind everybody, if you have questions, drop them in the chat and George will get them to me. Ben, deprioritized. I don't think that was the right word. I can't remember exactly what it was. It was literally, I had gotten dropped from the database.
That's weird.
Yeah, and I can't remember exactly what they called it. But it's been like 4 or 5 years since that's happened. So, yeah. Let's see. Did I say this? If you got questions, drop them in the chat. I'm not going to do last call for questions just yet, but that will be coming up soon. So get them in. Oh, there are questions. I just am not looking in the right place.
Story of
We
my
need to
life.
figure out where to put. We need to figure out like an organizational thing here.
Definitely sticky notes.
There should be like corporate documentation of questions go here.
I try.
Let's see. Shop Dad says you did his Goblin Award.
Oh yes, I forgot about which is dumb because I have one printed hanging in a bag on my coat rack.
He says that it is lovely.
Yes, I'm glad. I'm glad that you like that. That was fun, and I was glad that I was able to make that. But that was neat.
So you do collabs.
I do. Well, that was. I guess commissions count as collabs, because like I pretty much have commissions open all the time. I don't know. I always think of collabs as like, let's just sort of like hang out and do fun things, as like a non-business arrangement. I don't know. But yes, that was a thing.
ShopDad has been fairly public about this, so I will let everybody else know. If you're a maker, or if you're a collector, or if you are attached to this community in almost any way, the ASTM, American Society, I don't know, standards. ShopDad, if you're in the chat, drop it at whatever ASTM stands for. They are putting together a standards committee, or I'm not going to use the words right. It's come out in the last couple of weeks. I have been focusing on too many other things, and I have not been able to put the words correctly in my head. But there is a working group that they are putting together at ASTM, which is a standards group for sex toys. And you can join the group as either a maker or a person of the industry, whether it be a collector, maker, sex worker, whatever. and participate in the regulation and code making process. So, somehow I'm going to figure out a way to share this information. I would assume that onlygoblins.com is going to have some kind of information about that. I'm going to put it up on imakesextoys.com. That's a good idea. I will put it up there. But this is something that we need to all get involved in some way if we can. But I had forgotten about that. Didn't realize I didn't think about it. I have a platform now. I actually talk to people. I can actually share this on a platform. Anyway, I'll share this out on my various platforms and get it out there. But everybody out there should think about participating in some fashion. All right. Tibbs is demanding that you send the videos of the squids on the dryer or squids on the washing machines.
Probably need to take some more. I can post them somewhere. Like I said, the only reason I haven't posted them, because they're hilarious, is just they have like the LED strobing light when you do the slow-mo, and I'm like, I don't know if that's gonna like mess with people. That is literally the only reason. One day I'll bring like a fluorescent bulb into the basement and film it, and it will be glorious.
Jirohin says, I want to see a shrimp squishy.
Yes. Oh, I've considered that. That's on my like stretch goal list of things. I do have nope. Somewhere. It's not technically, well, I guess it's technically shrimp. I'm making I made sushi anal beads for a commission a while ago. And that was the worst thing I have ever had to pour in my life. If you wonder why people don't make a lot of anal beads as indie makers, it is because it sucks to mold them, and it sucks to demold them, and it sucks even worse to get the silicone down into the model. Hot dang, I had to pour fun story. I had to pour those 7 times, injecting things into the mold with like little silica. Like I would like open the mold, and my mom helped me with this on multiple occasions. She was up in Philly visiting me on separate occasions, and I kept messing it up and having her have to like come and hold the mold and then like pry it open. Oh my god, it was awful. So I will never be making those again because they're awful and I hate making them.
But it was sushi.
Real talk. But they looked adorable. The ones that I didn't mess up looked adorable, and I think I actually cut apart the screwed up ones that were not sellable because they had massive voids in them. And I sold any of the usable, just like little teeny sushis from them as squishies. But I am now making larger versions of those, one of which is a shrimp sushi, and I guess that is tangentially related to a cherry shrimp squishy.
Tibbs in the chat says, we use flop squishies in the dryer because they work great as a lint ball to get cat hair. I have heard that as well. One of my employees takes, the little silicone that's left in the cup, that really thin sheet. He takes that home and throws that in the washer and dryer, and he uses that because it's got so much surface area to get the cat hair off all this stuff. So interesting, but yeah.
It also works really well.
Oh, household tips
like
from Tibbs.
Household tips part 2. You can take squishies like with a flat bottom. Like I use my ravioli for this. And if you have cat hair like on your clothes, you can just like rub the ravioli over it. It won't get rid of it, kitty. But what it'll do is it'll peel it up into a giant ball that you can just sort of like pluck casually off. So that I guess could be handy in a pinch to like keep in a bag or something.
Yeah.
Going into an interview, what are you doing? I'm rubbing myself with a silicone ravioli. Don't ignore me right now. Don't look at me. And then of course you would get the job.
All right, so that was the shrimp squishy question. Let's see. Oh, on this washing machine, I heard in earlier. Natasha was asking on the washing machine, and actually we're talking about in now. So earlier we were talking about on the washing machine, now we're talking about in the washing machine.
Yes.
You can use them for both. One is more the squid doing the thing, and now we're talking about cat hair and doing household tips as well. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Do you have a knife, and can you cut open a flop?
I couldn't find my long blade, but I have a old dull X-Acto blade.
Oh, that's
so we
safe.
can see.
That's real safe.
Safety be damned. No, nobody listened to me. I'm insane and kind of too willing to cut my fingers open for science. But yeah, so let me just casually dump out my box and see if I can find one that's colorful.
Okay.
Also, some of you might appreciate this, but this is just... This is what I peel every once in a while, like where I'm mixing my colors, and then silicone just congeals, and then I get these big floppy sheets.
God.
It's in my flop box. I can't throw them out. I also have like giant discs that are the when I overflow stuff in my vacuum chamber. So if you ever need proof that I vacuum my stuff, I can show you my discs of overflowed shame as I throw them at you like frisbees.
All right. Well, while you're doing that, I'm going to remind everybody that if you have questions, drop them in the chat. George will wrangle those, get them to me. Number 2, I'm not entirely sure. Oh my God, that is huge. I'm not entirely sure who we're going to have or what we're going to be doing next Sunday. I have a couple of options. I will let you know what we're going to be doing next Sunday in the next day or so. On November 6th, we have Simply Elegant Glass, who will be joining me, and they are glass toy makers. So they will be on November 6th. And we're getting ready to cut open a toy with a dull X-Acto blade in the most unsafe way possible. Kids, don't do this at home.
Nobody do this at home. It's a terrible idea. Also, I found a flopped pencil, which I'm not going to cut in half, but this is my pencil bottom.
I think that was Tibbs that was asking about the pencil.
Yes. All right, so we have options. I can cut either of these. This one probably would give you the most interesting cross-section, or I could cut apart this little packer.
Ooh.
I feel like the packer would be fun because it's going to have better cross-sections, and I'll just send these out with people.
Yeah, I think the packer have a better cross-section.
All right, let me see if I can orient my camera in a way where you'll be able to see what I'm doing, because I'm dumb enough to use a dull blade, but I'm not dumb enough to try to do it in the air. So you can say that at least.
Okay.
All right, is this anywhere near in focus? Okay.
I think so.
Let's pray for me and my fingers. All right. As I make the first random oh, this is not a good blade for this. If you okay, here we go. You can get rid of the glare. You can sort of see it like splitting apart. Let me only the tip of this is sharp. Can you sort of see it like splitting open?
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna cut my finger open doing this. I like if you stretch silicone a lot, it just like the way it cuts, it's just like physically a very satisfying feeling. So this is like where we are right now. And then I'm just gonna kind of like not put my finger directly under this. And just awkwardly saw. This is a very uninteresting cross section. Okay, that was disappointing. Let's try to let's cut the balls in half. This is probably not where you expected this to go.
It's for science.
Note to self, this is why I've never become a doctor. When I was going into animation, my granny was like, you should do something productive. And like this right here is the reason that I'm not. All right, so let's just, I guess, spread these apart. Let's go for it. Sorry, I can't tell like what's actually on screen or not, but this is a much more interesting cross section.
Yeah.
Where's okay? Wow. I wonder what would happen if I just ripped this. So silicone is apparently very strong, because I physically am unable to rip that in half. If I can just sort of spread this with my fingers here. And maybe use a gentle sawing motion. This does feel very unsafe. This is basically how I cut apart all of my cut molds. So if one day I'm just like, hey, I need to take a break, I lost my pinky, now you know why. But I'm gonna not cut all the way through this. But
That's fine. That's fine. Yeah, don't take
much more interesting cross section, which will not, for the life of me, go in focus.
Interesting.
That is neat, though. I've actually, like, apart from just trying to make sure that inclusions, like, don't delaminate, and those are usually very uninteresting cross sections. I've never actually cut a toy in half like this, so this is actually kind of fun. Fascinating. And you get the beautiful saw marks from my dull blade.
Yeah. Well, definitely take pictures and post them on the Twitters.
Yes. I will do that. I'm gonna put this back up somewhere now.
Okay.
Hopefully that amused people.
I was amused, and George was amused because I heard her. Well, I heard oohing and awing, so I think she enjoyed it.
Balls.
Yeah. And yep. And there are requests for shorts videos as well.
Shorts videos?
Yeah, like, well, you know, like TikToks and shorts and reels and things like that. Of
gotcha.
Cutting open.
Yeah, you don't even understand the number of times I've been like, oh, this would be really good content to video. And I lack the hands, and I lack the lighting, and I lack the motivation. I do think about it, but if it comes, this is where I get into the like, blank is an enemy of done. And for me, that is videoing things. Videoing things means that I will never do the thing. So sometimes if it comes down to it, I just gotta do the thing.
Now, see, when I had my studio, when I moved into my studio, I actually had plans to do videos. And when I had my silicone room and my resin room built, I actually had those 4-foot LED strips. You know, they look like fluorescent ones.
Those.
And they have, the ones I got actually have 2 of those 4-foot LED bulbs. I have 4 of those double.
Heck yeah.
Okay, and these rooms are like 8 by 8. Okay, so I've got 8 4-foot LED bulbs in there. So they're just flooded, and the walls are just straight light. So it's just flooded with light. And then I have some of those articulated arms. You know.
Yeah, I gotta get some of those, or make my dad make me some.
Yeah, and then my main room has twice as many of those lights. It's actually bigger than that, so it's not as much light. But I actually was planning on doing videos, and so I had all these lights put in, and there were plans. I was thinking ahead. So
it takes so much time. Like it's. And the one, so semi-related to videos only, but like when I was teaching animation, a few of my students were like, I love your videos. Like when you break something, you show us how to fix it. The other teachers will just like cut out, like they'll do a bunch of stuff, be like, oh no, I didn't do this right. Like, and then they'll cut to when it's fixed. And I'm like, I'm glad you like my unedited videos because I'm not putting any extra time into these. Like you get a stream of consciousness recording of whatever's happening, and that is all I have the energy for. Like but I'm glad that they found it helpful, but I just thought that was funny. But also I run my life, and I used to run my fish tanks on those like LED bar lights, so they're great, and I love them. Actually, they're still like the bulk of what I actually use for my dildo product photography, so that's also fun.
Let's see. Jirohan. If someone ever makes packers with separated swinging balls, can we call them danglers?
I'm into it. Listen, part of me is like, if I really wanted to, I could hand sculpting something and have it out like next week, but I'm not going to. But I do love that idea.
Do you do much hand sculpting?
I try. So very hard.
An effort was made.
No, so actually the vulva squishy I have, that's hand sculpted. That was supposed to be, I didn't bring a grub head up. I don't have any not in bags. That was hand sculpted. That was actually supposed to be a series of just like different types of vulvas or whatever, just because I was like, I keep reading that like, like vulva representation is like not a thing where like they're always depicted a certain way in media, and people are like, well, I don't see what I look like there. So I was like, I'll make a bunch of squishies, and then I did not get to making the like 12 others I had intended to. So that one's basically less of an intentional, I am making this type of anatomy, and more of, I am not good at hand sculpting things. This is what I am physically able to produce right now. So that's that design. The grub head is hand sculpted. Heaven help everybody. That thing is terrifying. There's only 5 in existence, and I think there's 2 or 3 left in my shop. That's another one of those weird, I need to make more creepy face designs, and then everyone's like, but please don't. They've been around. That is a very old model. This pours have been in my shop for a while. The base on the corn is hand sculpted. I tried hand sculpting a skull, which was awful. I hand sculpted the original flower inclusions. I'm doing those digitally because I lack control to make those not suck really badly to mold. I have another plan. I drew up, I had this cool design and I was like, I'm gonna sit down and like, as my like extracurricular project for the day, I'm gonna make this like sweet Halloween hand sculpted design, which I've also earmarked. This is probably also one of the better, more fleshed out drawings that I've done. So I was gonna try to hand sculpt that. And then I was like, you know what? You can't sculpt. Calm down and do something else you need to do, like cleaning, so you can, walk to your silicone area without jumping over boxes. I have lots of romanticized ideas about hand sculpting.
Yeah.
And then the pragmatic part of my brain hops in and is like, maybe not.
Okay.
Sorry, that was like a hardcore tangent.
Tibbs asking, what is your favorite model you've ever made? And your favorite pour?
I feel like I should have a better, more like presentable answer to that, but I kind of don't know. I gotta say, I have weird nostalgia for this dude. Just because it's uncomfortable. I honestly, I don't know if I have a super favorite model. I just sort of, a lot of the designs that are not like purely representational, like this is a bolt, this is an ice cream, are very just like, I sit down and I sculpt for a while and I don't know what I'm doing or what I'm gonna come out with. So it's kind of hard to be like, this is a favorite design. I like pouring scaled waves a lot. Because they show the patterning really well. I have a tendency to put way too much detail in my stuff, and that is like one of my smoothest models, that and the squidong. Awful name. That was like my shorthand for it that I just couldn't get rid of. So that is how squidong and armordong were named, and I hate it. I just can't fix it at this point because it's been too long. Yeah. Don't let me name things. So I guess scaled wave maybe for pouring, and I think, I don't know if I have a favorite pour. I have some like weird drips and stuff that I remember doing that came out neat. I like rainbow stuff. I like I like the shitty spider inclusion just because it's so stupid. I don't know. I have some like real crazy ideas for inclusions that I think people are going to be really into, but I need time to execute those ideas. But I think people are going to like them, hopefully.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm just gonna stop.
So what euphemisms have you used to talk about your products?
Usually for some reason, I feel weird saying dildos in forums. It feels like strangely, like I will, it depends where I'm talking about stuff. But a lot of times if I'm writing it out on just like random places, I'll say dingles for some reason. I'll say dingles, and I think sometimes I say dongles. And I got into like this whole weird thing at one point where someone was like, dongles are like USB sticks or what. I'm like, dude, stop. But also, see me in 2 months when I'll have a USB like penetratable. And I think usually I just say adult toy because it feels like the most presentable. The other day I thought of a fun one though. It's like, I specialize in silicone bits and bobs with an emphasis on the bits. And I'm just like, I haven't had a chance to use that yet, but I'm just like, I like it. Yeah. It's vague enough while also being like, oh.
Yeah. I like that one. I think George likes dills.
Nice.
Yeah.
I call dildo Twitter like the dild sphere. Just like anything largely pertaining to dildos to me is dild sphere online.
Yeah. Well, actually, I like this question, but I don't know that you're going to have an answer for it. I don't know if you will or not. What artists are inspiring for your work?
You are correct, but I don't know if I have an answer for that. I was like, hit me. And I'm like, nope, you're right. I honestly don't know. There is some weird part of me that like I like certain motifs in like 2D stuff. Like I feel like for 2D art, I'm more inspired by like contrast and pen sketches, much of which is not at all relevant. One day I'm gonna find a way to make it relevant, but it is like not at all relevant to the dildo stuff. And then apart from just sort of like what I see from the folks that I follow on Twitter and like the other shops I talk to, I sort of try to not look at other dildos because I don't want to like accidentally like copy what other people are doing subconsciously. I have some weird tentacle plans, by the way. I have many of those. It's been 2 years and I don't have a tentacle. I'm like, I need a tentacle. I just can't. I want it different. And I have ideas. I just haven't made them. But yeah, I honestly don't know. I mean, yeah. Sorry, that was a very unsatisfying answer.
No, I mean, I was like, as random and as chaotic as it is in that head, I was like, there can't be an actual connection to anything, really.
I feel like a lot of the stuff. I feel like a lot of the stuff I do is like I'll pick an idea or like a motif and I'll just do that. Like the other day, I keep scheming cosplays for the Skyrim like Flame Atronachs and Spriggans, and the Oblivion Glass Armor, which I have a little bit of a love affair with. But anyway, and I was like, I could make a really killer like Spriggan dildo, but that's not like an artist thing. That's just I really like Elder Scrolls and I think the design is cool. Like, let me try to like riff on that in a way that's like not totally like ripping it off. But yeah, I don't know. I actually have a lot of trouble with like inspiration and ideas and pre-planning, which is usually why I just sit down and I'm like, I'm making an ice cream, or I will see what I have in an hour and we'll just do something with that.
What's on your studio playlist?
Weird things. Classic rock. Lots of that.
Wait. We're from different generations. What is classic rock for you?
It's the stuff that they play on the classic rock radio station. So for me, that would be like, damn it. And now I'm not going to think of any of the artists. Hang on. It's going to be like some Boston. Let me just go into my classic rock and such playlist.
So if we're talking Boston and maybe some Black Sabbath and maybe some Ozzy and...
Yeah, it's like, I feel like kind of the sort of, I don't even know the time periods of a lot of stuff. If you turn on a classic rock radio station, like that's the stuff. Yes, hello, sweet kitty.
This is Fiona.
So cute. But yeah, just like sort of general classic rock. I feel like I like, like the Led Zeppelin, all the sort of generic things. I'm terrible at remembering names. I also have lots of things from VeggieTales and from SpongeBob. And if anyone ever wants to hear a very bad rendition of the Ripped Pants song on ukulele, hit me up. Spoiler alert, nobody wants that. Nobody should hit me up about that. But I have also some like Tom Lehrer stuff. Still no idea how to pronounce his name, but grew up on that, which explains a lot. And I've run into like a lot of sort of what I call angry Irishish music. And I've been really vibing with like Five Leaf Clover recently. So that's been that, and like Tom Lehrer has been like my bits.
Okay.
I've never seen the Pussycats.
Last question. Tell me about your most epic fail.
Does my website count?
No. Because only one part of that is is an epic fail.
Oh no, it's all of it. All of it's on fire. You just don't see it. It's fine. I don't know if I've had any like truly catastrophic things.
Oh, you have.
I think I've.
Well,
so nothing on the scale of like the Fergus stuff from last week. I was like, oh my god, like I was just like cringing the whole time, like no. But I've had a few cursed models. Like this is somebody's poor. It is an extra large insect queen that failed 3 times. And I'm not in love with the patterning on either. I think this was like soft silicone, and like on the tall model, it kind of tends to like plunge down and smear a bit. So that just like failed a lot, I think. And I can't call it an epic failure per se, but I think apart from just catastrophic mold leaks, which actually I have some tips for if people are interested in that, but probably floppy banana, because I've gone through so many iterations of it. Like I have for your eyeball pleasure, like multiple versions of the floppy banana. And these are just like my personal ones. I keep the first one from every cast in traditional banana colors. So the first floppy banana I did, if you're interested in the history of floppy banana, is this banana. This is the one that like lives on the Twitter. And I think I'm going to do another iteration on this, but it started out with like peels that were sort of like different heights, which I think aesthetically are nicer, but like make it a little weird to pour. And I was worried that like these would be, the taller ones would be like hit more and then like maybe rip off. So I made them all one height. That first mold I did was like a big chonky janky block mold, which fun fact, if you want to make cardboard tapered things, I don't recommend this. It's not good, and it looks terrible. It's weird. You can make a big block of cardboard, fill that with silicone, nest another small piece of cardboard on top of that is smaller, fill that with more silicone, and just keep going up. So that was my first mold for floppy banana.
So it's like a cardboard Tower of Babel.
It's like a shitty cardboard pyramid that you just sort of fill with silicone as you go, and it is held together by silicone. And let me tell you, it works. It works without failure. It looks terrible, and I should have 3D printed a mold shell for it, but it was fine, I guess. So that mold had 2 castings. This was the second ever floppy banana cast, and I was going for like bruised banana, and instead we just have like putrid brown.
I was gonna say zombie banana.
It's not good. It's probably the ugliest floppy banana I've ever made. But that like destroyed the mold for that. So I only got 2 casts of the first version, and they will just never be sold because, I mean, at this point, I've just carried them around so many places. I'm like, I don't know. And there's like weird holes in them. So the second floppy banana I made was this one, which has like the even peels. The insides are a little bit janky, and I think, yeah, this is the one. So this is the iteration of floppy banana that floppy banana sucks to demold. Like, to get the master out, it is the worst thing I've ever had to rip out of a mold. It took me 2 hours to pull the first one out, and a lot of swearing. I was literally sitting on the floor of my kitchen crying, trying to pull it out from like finger exertion. And I had like punched myself a bunch of times. It was like hard to grip on. I like put some water-based lube on it to try to help, and spoiler alert, it did not help. So then I was just slimy
So
on
then
my
you're just
kitchen
slipping
floor.
off the banana.
There's nothing to hold on to either, because like the mold is like basically poured like this with the central peel, and then all these little dudes just sort of like splayed out around it. So there's nothing to grip on. You can hook a finger onto this and like try to yank it, but it like doesn't really work. So it sucks to demold. So my version 2 in real life, version 1 on my website, there's still a few of these up actually, has like just a shit ton of seams going around it, because I was like, it has been like 2.5 hours. I physically cannot remove this. Let me just start cutting the mold into some pieces. So that was fun. So that has a seam on every single peel. There's also another seam in the inside, or like, but that doesn't really affect the casting, but like that is a lot of pieces for that, let me tell you. I was also trying, yeah.
So how many molds of that have you done? Like 4, 5?
I don't count that anymore. Like, real answer. So I've also gone through, I've had at least 3 molds. I think, oh, no, that was fun. Somewhere in this whole line of floppy bananas, I made a mold, and I don't know what oh, that's what happened. Yeah, I was trying different master stuff. So the first one I did, I was like, I can't get this out. Let me try to make basically a 2-part master that I attach. So I tried to like glue that together with some clay. So there's like a little bit of like weird hand sculpting going on, which is, again, disclaimered aggressively in the listings for those particular bananas. So in case you're wondering, you'll know. My website will force you to know before you check out with those. What the heck? And then I tried making another master that was just like another single piece, because the 2-piece did not work well. And then the mold for that glued itself to the master, which I'd never had happen with an epoxy-coated master before. And then finally I was like, oh my god, screw the epoxy. We're going back to my other thing I've been doing with just like a bunch of spray paint, whatever. And I got a mold for that, and it took me forever, but it's beautiful, and I can paint the insides of the peels. So my first, the first yellow banana that I made for myself, which actually I can't find right now, which is a little questionable. It used to be sitting on my vacuum form, and then I moved it, and I don't know where it went. But anyway, I christened that mold by writing the word fuck on like every single peel in glowing red, because I was angry at the floppy banana. So that one now I can paint it, and it's nice and it's glorious. I think each floppy banana mold, I know the last one weighs like 7 or 8 pounds, which means it's like $120 of silicone in that. And I've gone through several iterations of those. But it's weird because like I don't qualify that as a failure. Like none of these I qualify as failures, apart from the one that just like stuck to the mold. That's pretty objectively messed up. But it was just like a weird iterative process, and I did learn like a lot by doing it, and that's one of the reasons, apart from just wanting a floppy banana, that I made it. And now I have other projects scheming because I feel like I leveled up my 2-part mold making. So stay tuned for some fun, weird stuff whenever I have 5 minutes.
So, number 1, remember earlier we talked about stubbornness?
Yes.
I think there's something there.
Oh, yes. Yeah, once I decide to do something, I will not stop doing the things.
Let's see. You said you had mold leak tips.
Oh, yes. So my bit with the mold. Oh, and I actually have. Sorry, I have boxes of crap by my desk, and by crap I mean Dice Masters and just literal boxes of like Dildo Masters that I'm doing stuff to, which also apparently have fake foam lemons in them.
Okay.
I've stopped questioning my boxes at this point. So this is the only mold shell that I can find both pieces for right now, which is like the 12-inch generic depth toy. So this is my janky mold shell system that I make for pretty much all of the things that I make mold shells for. I do glove shells mostly, but if you are making a cavity mold like this, I found this to work very well. So basically, make this in whatever form you want. I've found if you're doing a cut mold, what you can do, because like you gotta find a way to like attach these flat bits together. So I'll add like a thick bead of hot glue and stick it together, and you don't smush it together all the way. And then when you pick the glue off and you binder clip these together like the maniacs that we all are, I'm drowning in binder clips. I have literally over 200 of them. I step on them a lot, and people talk about D4s and like binder clips are not as bad, but they still suck. Yeah. It's like I feel like binder clips are like a step beneath Legos for like hurting when you step on them. Regardless, when you peel the glue off and you stick the binder clips together, it'll put a little bit of like pressure on it and hold it tighter. And I've found that if I don't do that, I get side leaks. So if you can add like a teeny like 16th of an inch to like 1/8 of an inch like extra space in here that you then remove, it will hold things tighter and make things better.
So you're kind of creating a gasket. You're kind of creating a gasket. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That, and I needed a way to attach stuff together, and I bleed hot glue, so...
Okay.
Yeah. Oh wait, I had one other, like...
Oh, sorry.
Actually useful tip for that, sorry. This is my other bit, like, if you're finding that, like, you glue this down to whatever, and then you're, like, pour a bunch of silicone in, and this is especially relevant for, like, really tall models, like my extra large ice cream leaks a lot. So if you're finding that it's like separating from the bottom and then like oozing crap out of it, interesting phrasing. What you can do is mix up just like a little bit of silicone and just pour that into the mold. And I pour mine all over my masters because I'm a maniac and that's just how I do stuff. But you can also like pour it down the sides to sort of like help seal the seams a little bit more, because like you don't necessarily want to trust hot glue for everything. But what you do is you basically pour enough to like coat the bottom a little bit, and you let that harden enough to be like hard and not super oozy, and that basically like anchors your thing to the ground, like your mold shell to the ground. It prevents your model from floating up, and it has literally, since I've started doing that, I've pretty much never gotten a mold leak. So that's really nice. If you do find yourself with a mold leak, fill yourself a gallon jug of water and just put that on top of your mold. It will hold it down enough to stem the flow. Alternately, you can wrap your mold very aggressively in paper towels and like that silicone medical tape stuff. Just don't use rubber bands. They'll cause cure inhibition and everything will be sticky forever and you'll hate your life. And if you're like, I think I can use rubber bands, I just won't get silicone on it. No, don't use rubber bands. Just don't do it.
Yeah. It's funny. I made a block mold yesterday, and I put my master down. I built up my walls, and I poured my silicone, and then I left.
Oh.
And
oh no!
I got home and I was like, I never checked to see if my mold was leaking.
Yup.
I just trusted it. I was like. And I was just sitting there, I'm like, nothing I can do now. I mean, if it's leaking, it's leaking. It's done. I got in this morning. It was fine. I mean, I made hundreds of these things at this point, so I should have it down. Jerohan was suggesting that the leftover cup pancakes could be used as a gripper to pull the tools from the molds.
The tool? Oh, like the masters?
Yeah, maybe, or maybe the silicone on silicone, being able to use that to pull the toys from the molds.
Interesting.
Yeah. Because the silicone on silicone will give you a nice friction.
Yeah. Interesting.
Interesting
I
idea.
feel like I'm compelled to try that. I've designed my entire workflow around the fact that I have pathetically weak fingers, which is why I use like really like compared to most shops, my glove molds are like crazy thin. So I either have like thick cavity molds because I found like the thicker ones work better for like cutting and not giving weird seams, or just like wacky thin glove molds because I can physically remove things from them. Womp.
All right. Well, Allison, thank you so much.
Yeah.
I appreciate you joining me. Wave, say goodnight, and hang out for a minute. I'm going to say
Sure.
goodnight to everybody, and I'm going to catch up with you in just a minute.
Sounds good.
All right.
See you, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Yay! All right. That is a little goofball named Allison from Something Squishy Toys. And I have had so much fun with her for the last couple of weeks. And I am so appreciative that she was able to join us this week. So, again, I'm not sure who's going to be here next week. But I've got a couple of options. I'm working it out. But we'll see. November 6th, we've got Simply Elegant Glass. And that's going to be a fun one. A little bit different medium. Same idea, but different medium. And I'll remind everybody that we do have a Patreon. That is at patreon.com/Amavidi. I've done it twice tonight. I did not screw it up. I usually screw that up somehow. And with that, I'm out. I'll catch you next week. Bye.